Hello, everyone. Rajiv Chopra from the Dusty Lens Chronicles. And today I will take you through my first experiences with a fisheye lens. The statement that I want you to focus on here is the one at the bottom of the screen. A lens is not a neutral recorder, it is a point of view that gets imposed on the world. It's something which you should be absolutely clear about when you start out to do your photography. A lens sees differently depending on its focal length and depending on the sensor. So it's absolutely critical that you start to learn how to see how the lens and camera combination actually perceives the world. So let's get into it now. I want to show you a few ray diagrams. Now, before I continue, I also want to point out that I used Claude LLM to help me make these slides. But let's see, let's start from the left. The 80mm on the Fujifilm cameras are equivalent to 120mm on a full frame camera because the crop factor is 1.5, which means any lens that you use on the Fujifilm, you must multiply by 1.5 to get the full frame equivalent. So if this is an 80mm, this is your camera, this is the kind of field of vision that you have. What you have is something which is completely compressed from this particular perspective. This is you looking into the scene. The 50mm, which is 75mm equivalent on a full frame camera, has a near natural field of view or perspective. 23mm, which is what you'll use, for instance, with your Fujifilm X100V, that has a 35mm equivalent, slightly wide, perfect for street photography. A 7.5mm lens, so I am planning to buy the TT Artisan 7.5mm. This gives you a strong stretch, and the 4mm fisheye, which is it completely distorts everything. And I have a 4mm from 7 Artisan, and this has an extreme barrel distortion. Again, this gives you the kind of stretch. This is the 80mm perspective. Look inside here. The 50mm, roughly 46 degrees. The 23mm is roughly 110. The 7.5mm gives you 110 degrees perspective, and a 4mm fisheye gives you a 220 degree perspective, which also means that when you are photographing with a 4mm lens, you have to be absolutely careful about the placement of your fingers and about the placement of your feet, because otherwise you're going to have your fingers, your feet, and other things, or your even camera strap in the frame. Now, a telephoto compresses the space, it flattens the world, it isolates subject. It forces you to edit before you shoot. Some people call this a portrait lens, a spy lens. I don't use it so much as a spy lens, but a 50 to 80 is very good for portraits. The 23 to 35mm is an excellent street photography lens. It's perfect. And yes, you do have to move. The 4 to 7.5mm is completely crazy. It actually forces you to see everything very differently. It's wild in a sense. The distortion is the point of view, and that is critical. But also remember, overdoing a 4mm, that kind of photography can be very gimmicky. So you need to think carefully, and you need to actually practice your photography with a 4 to 7.5mm because you are seeing differently. Remember that you have to see completely differently And not everything is something that you will find is a good subject to photograph. So I used, for my first experiments, I used the Fujifilm XM5. I have three Fujifilm cameras. I have the Fujifilm X-T4, I have the Fujifilm X100V, and I have the XM5 as well. I removed the background of these images using Adobe Firefly, and these images are from Amazon India. And then, of course, I use the 7 Artisan 4mm f2.8. But in general, if you want to use the 4mm, you should be roughly at about f8. And these are three images which are just representative of the first experiment, and I will now take you through the next, a more detailed explanation of what I have found. So this is the first time that I was shooting with the 4mm. I was in a mall in Gurgaon. I had not changed the aspect ratio. I kept it at 3:2, and I ended up with this round image in a rectangular frame. Now, if you look very carefully out here, you're going to see my finger, which is not what I intended, and you'll see a little bit of my finger out here as well. Then I went out. I went to another mall. I was having some chai then I was reading my book on my Kindle, and I took this image. And you can see the bottom of my t-shirt, which and the camera strap, which I didn't really want in the frame. This is a slightly better exposed photograph. Again, as you can see, the bottom of my shirt, not really what I wanted you to see, but it's there. And you can see the shadow of me taking the photograph. Here, I looked up, and this is a much better image. Looking up, distorting everything, and giving you a completely different perspective. The next time I went around, I actually changed the aspect ratio to 1:1. I made these images at Museo Camera in Gurgaon, which is a museum for cameras, and I haven't done any editing yet. So I would actually sharpen these images. So when you are photographing with this, you have to ensure that you are at roughly f8 to f11. Otherwise, you're going to end up with images that can be slightly blurred. And you need to go very close at times to get images. Again, at the Camera Museo, my ISO was pretty high, at roughly about 2000 or so, because I was inside. So you can see a little bit of noise in the image on the right, which is that of a dark room. And again, at Camera Museo, so as you can see, I am creating the distortion to create this nice jazzy effect. This is at Connaught Place in Delhi. What you need to look at here is that the cycle and the stool are not really distorted, but here you'll find these edges and these edges completely distorted and circular, and they themselves form a nice frame. Now, because of the extreme field of view, I got this exterior part into the frame, which ideally should not have been there. And again, as you can see, the pillars in Connaught Place forming a nice frame for the set of stools. Again, in Connaught Place, the pillars are being distorted into the circle. Pillars are being distorted, people not so distorted, but here again, the lampshades are distorted. And I thought that this was making a nice frame for the people. Again, I have not edited the images at all. This one is, well, it's a dustbin in Connaught Place again. So you see, circular objects sometimes are perfect subjects for a fisheye lens. This is in Gurgaon at a chai stall. And this is Mr. Mondal, and the bamboo let's say, sticks that hold up his roof are nicely distorted, forming an almost circle, and you can see the tips of my shoes in this particular one. And here I wanted my shoes in the frame. It looks almost as if I'm sitting on some sort of a ball, but I'm not, and this is just the ground, and this is, believe it or not, a wheel. So when you are using a fisheye lens, you need to practice, and I believe it's going to take me roughly 6 to 8 months before I perfect my fisheye lens photography. I did see some crazy stuff, and I might just go into the Aravalli forest one day and take some pictures in the forest. I like this quote that I created: photography begins in the silent spaces between the noise. Remember that. You need to quieten your mind, ignore all the nonsense happening around you, and then you will start to take some absolutely great photography. This is a Chinese phrase. I lived in China for 6 years, which is why I'm very fond of the Chinese word. So this is manzola, which basically means walk slowly, observe well. And thanks a lot. I hope that you have enjoyed this short video. And if so, share a comment, hit the like button, subscribe, and share the video. Thanks a lot. See you next time. Rajiv Chopra from the Dusty Lens Chronicles saying goodbye for now. And yes, do visit my website, w.rajivchopra.com. See you next time.